Edition of Private Label Making Wigs with me. My name is Traci. I am the owner of Crimson Beauty Salon, and I am going to be making a custom wig unit for you guys today. By now you have seen me make these wigs, and so we're going to go through some of the tips and tricks of things that I do, and hopefully that it helps you out and you can follow along, learn with me. We'll go over the things that I use, so if you have a chance, go ahead and grab the things that I mentioned, or you can pause this video at a later time and come back to it, because I know it's going to be on YouTube and it's going to be, we're broadcasting live. So it's going to be amazing. You'll be able to follow along with us. Okay. So today, before I get started, how you can find me, you can find me on Instagram. Instagram is at Crimson Beauty Salon, and that's CrimsonBeautySalon all together. So at Crimson Beauty Salon, it'll be posted around here somewhere, and you can go there and follow me. And we can talk if you want me to make you a unit, or if you just want to learn how to make a unit one-on-one, we can do that as well. I'm also at Crimson Beauty Salon on TikTok, so follow me there. I post different things. I am a licensed cosmetologist, as I stated, a trichologist, which is a study of hair loss, and I also am a certified wig maker. So definitely check me out whenever you get a chance. I would appreciate your follow. And yeah, so come along and let's make this wig together. So because I have made so many wigs by now, and you may or may not have seen, and we'll go over more, but just come back and follow us, right? This one, I already started the prep process. So we used the wig cap. This one is my favorite. It's the mesh dome cap, and it's the 5011. You can get these on Amazon or at your local beauty supply. I got these from Amazon. I got a bulk of them. They actually came the other day, so it was perfect timing. Ordinarily, you can match to the hair color that you're going to use. I personally did not know which color we were going to use today. Otherwise, I would have used the beige cap. But my beige cap that I have is a extra large, and we don't have any extra large clients coming along. So we're going to use the black today. So this is going to be a little bit new for me, but we're going to see how we can cover it up. So this is a good tip or trick that you may run into if you have a client that needs a wig and you don't have any other caps but your black ones. So we're going to go together and see how we can make this happen. So things happen, you got to stay professional and make it work, right? So off camera, like I said, I went ahead and I started this. I added the closure to it. And what we do first is we stitch it down with our thread. So one of the tools that you're going to need is a spool of thread. Personally, I use the red spool of the nylon thread. It's a little bit thinner than your average thread. So this is what it looks like. We use that, and we stitch it down first, and then we come to the machine and stitch all the way around the three sides. 1, 2, and 3. Once we do that, then we're ready to actually add the bundles. Today we're going to be working with all 34 inches. So it's going to be very long. So somebody's going to love that. And today we have another treat for you, because we're going to add an elastic band so you can wear it as a no glue, so a glueless unit. So we're going to attach that as well today. So that's why I went ahead and did this off camera, so that we can have more time together. I've also went ahead and cut the underneath part off. And when you do that, this is what it should look like when you finish that. And then I have a pair of scissors. I have a seam ripper. You will need this in the event that you have any mess ups. You can definitely use your seam ripper to readjust and do things that you need to do. You also need push pins. I usually have a lot of them in my blockhead. Speaking of blockhead, you're going to need a blockhead, and I call her Jenny. She's Jenny from the block, so you'll hear me reference her a lot. I also keep bobbins, and they're pre-threaded, so I try to keep some handy in the event that I run out in the middle of filming or in the middle of me making units for my clients as well. I also keep a universal needle, and this is for denim, so it's very thick and it's durable and able to get through the wig caps. And this is a needle that goes into the sewing machine. It breaks, you just want to have some on hand. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. I know you guys are excited. If you have your tools, go ahead and drop your scissors in the comment section or your spool of threads. Let me know that you're going to make this wig with me. It's going to be exciting. So let's have some fun together. So first we're going to go ahead and get rid of the binding that's on your hair. So also you're going to need hair. You're definitely going to need hair in order to complete this assignment, right? So we're going to take the rubber band elastics off and we're going to go ahead and get started. This is our Private Label 613 34-inch hair. Now, I actually just make the units, but sometimes we have our stylist that's on hand and they may go in and color it. Now, if they go in and color it, it won't matter that we have this black cap, okay? Because if we give it some shadow roots, maybe a cute brown or even a dark brown, anything that can kind of match the cap, that will also help as well. Even if they wanted to go black, but black is going to be hard, but it can be done. The reason why black is going to be hard, this is a quick little lesson. If you know color, and I love to color, this has a lot of yellow pigment, a lot of yellow hues. And if you know color, we go back to primary school, yellow and blue makes green. So if you go in with straight black, this is for those of you guys who may not have gone to school or finished school or know color, or the color wheel, you cannot or you should not go straight in with a black and put it on blonde hair. Why? Because black has a blue base in it. And so you mix that black with this yellow hair, you're going to get green for sure. So you want to do something that's going to have more of like a purple base, something like a brown that has more red in it that won't turn the hair green. So those are some tips and tricks and things that you can look at your color wheel and determine what color should I make this base or what color can I make this base. So if you filled it with a brown first, you can then go on top of it with your black and then you'll be fine. So what I like to do is this cap has like markings on it and it has the little V in the back. And so that's the back of it. So what I like to do is start here and I go in with my first stitching. So get your cap and line it up on your machine. And I try to make it as equal as possible on both sides. Sometimes it gets off and, sometimes you just roll with it. Again, we are using the black thread and a black cap with this blonde hair, but as our first time for everything. So we're going to try to make this work. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If you are a beginner, it is best that you start with your needle already in your between the materials being the cap as well as the hair. So you want to put your put your needle down into your materials. The pattern that I use for my stitching is zigzag. The reason why I use zigzag is because it helps with any imperfections that you may have. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Always, when you're making the first stitch, you want to back stitch. And just keep going. And then also when you get to the end, you want to also make sure that you back stitch. Just like that. And so we're going to do this pattern all the way up until we get to the top. Now, what I like to tell you guys is that when you are making these, you want to stay close and tight as you're at the bottom, because when you're at the bottom of the below the curve of the head, which is also called the occipital bone, when you're below this area of the head right here, you want everything to be tight. Once you get around the apex or the crown of the head, you want to start making them a little bit looser or more widths apart. I usually do like a finger width apart, but because we are in the issue of this black cap and this blonde hair, I'm going to try to make it work and see if we can still get them close together without showing the thread. So one thing that is repetitive is that every time we make a stitch, we come back to Jenny from the block and we make sure that she is nice and snug. Because this thread is black, we're going to try to cut this as we go so that we don't run into any issues of, let's see, so that we don't run into any issues. And so there we have it. You can see all of the threading, which is actually kind of good so you can see how it goes. So this is a zigzag pattern and it stitches flush across and there's no lumps and bumps. The reason that we're taking it to the block every time is to make sure that this lays nice and flush. So again, we're going to start by removing the cap and we're going to keep going. Again, we're going to make sure, and like I said, we're going to cut threads as we see it, but we're going to make sure that we stay really tight so that we don't see the previous stitching from before. If you have any questions, guys, feel free to drop your questions, comments, or concerns. And once we get done filming, I will try to get into the comments and answer any questions. So we do our back stitching and keep going. This is Private Label's hair. This is the Brazilian, I want to say it's like a soft wave, but I think it's straight is what we're using. Usually, even if it's straight, it has like a little bend to it, but it's still straight. So then we're done. We take it off and we cut all of our threading. Once we cut our threading, we cut the track off. And like I said, we just keep going till we get to the top. Today we have 4 bundles because they're so long. But we still go until we get all the way to the top and have a full unit. So if you see this hair blowing, you guys, it's because I have a fan on me because in studio it gets kind of hot and your girl be struggling. So I said, let's get some air in here. So here is the second bundle or the second track. And now you can see, I kind of like the contrast. That way you guys can see what I'm doing. I know normally we have black on black, which is ideal, but at least you can see that the stitching goes straight across and it is in a zigzag pattern. If this was a straight line, because you can do straight stitching, it can create imperfections because if you start it here and then the head is curved and then you start to bend with the head, you're still off and you'll have a lot of gaps and gaping within there and you got to go back. And so this to me is more error proof. And so this is why I teach the zigzag pattern in my classes. But you're free to do whatever works for you. But for me, the zigzag works. So this is about what we have left, and this is still just the first bundle. And so we're going to keep going. And as we go up, guys, we curve with the shape of the head. So I'm going to do that here. And we're going to get these, like I said, as close together as possible. So we're going right on top. And back stitch. And keep going. And back stitch on the end. So we come up and come off. Sorry, you guys. And then we just cut the thread, making sure not to cut the hair. And then the only time we cut the hair is when we're cutting it off of the cap. Again, you want to make sure you cut any of these threads that you see to make it easier when you're done. Because this one is blonde, you can see them a lot easier. So you want to make sure you get rid of those. All right, we go back to Jenny and put her on the block. So again, you can see where I back stitch and start to come up around the head. Again, there's no humps, no lumps and bumps, and we're just going to keep going. And as we get closer, we'll just keep going all the way around until we reach the top. This is also a quicker method than using just regular stitching by hand. That is also an option. This is just a faster option, and it's a little bit more durable because you can kind of tug on this and you don't have to worry about anything gapping open. I have had clients that come in and ask if I could refurbish their units, and they'll have a wig that they've had made prior to coming to me, and with that they'll have like a handmade wig, and I just let them know that I'm gonna end up, you know, redoing the entire wig because I'm not gonna hand stitch it. That's just my preference. I'm just not. So we're gonna keep going. But for those of you that do make them by hand, kudos to you, because that is a lot. It's almost like doing a sew-in though. But you then, you know, you do run into the things of, you know, having to rethread your machine at times, things like that. Every time you thread your machine, you want to make sure that your level is up, and then you pull this up all the way. So I always like to kind of take it out and redo it. And I knew it was going to come out because of the way that I took that last one off. I snatched it, so I felt like that pulled that thread out. Sometimes that's something to be careful from. Sometimes you can pull the thread out of the eye of the needle when you're cutting it off. So you just have to be careful with that. But it doesn't take long to just rethread it and keep going. So there you have it. We just laced our thread in our needle and we're ready to start. But definitely, again, I was stating kudos to the ones who make them by hand. But if you are looking for another way to make them and you can be more proficient and faster, you can try this way. Take these classes, you know, watch them over and over, and you'll get better. Once, you know, the first time for me was not all that great. I didn't think I would be making them this long. I kind of got frustrated with the machine. I was like, this isn't for me. But with practice and continuing doing it, it became easier and easier as I did more and more. So everyone's different. So we're at the end. We did our quick little back stitch. We're going to cut it off, go through and cut any loose threading. And of course, cut our track off. And we're going to bring her back to Jenny by putting her on the block. So just like that, there's no lumps, no bumps, and we can keep going. So we're going to come up a little higher because we're getting close to the end. And when I say to the end, I mean to the end of the, by the front of the closure. So we're going to come up and just kind of keep it close together. We got 3 more bundles to kind of stuff in here as well. So a little bit more to go, or a long ways to go, but it's very repetitive. So you should be okay with making them. And this is the practice that you'll get as you keep going. Every stitch is different, you know. So you keep them close. And go right in. And come all the way up on the side, because you want to start trying to finish this one off. All right. Sometimes we have leftover hair, and what I like to do with my leftover hair is sometimes I give it back to the client, especially if it's a lot, you know, a lot of hair left over. And sometimes I will ask them if they need it. You know, it's always good to ask them if they need it, because they may want their hair. And they may want to stuff it, you know, find a space to put it later. But you always want to make sure that they don't need it. And if you do have leftover, where let's say they gave it to you, then you can take those leftover pieces and save it for another client and make clip-ins. One day I will show you guys how I make clip-ins that you can just add to a client's hair, and that's a little upcharge for you. Sometimes clients just want, you know, that little bang area to be full, and so you can make a quick little clip-in for them to give them that action. So here again, we're showing there's no lumps and bumps. We're almost, you know, to the corners of this. I think we are pretty much done with this particular bundle, but I'm going to take her all the way around on here, and then we'll start with the next piece of hair and we'll just finish it off. So I'm going to go ahead and carry it to the, I'll show you, carry it to the corner. One more time. I'm going to carry it to the corner of this closure. And take it around like that. And if you can see that the front of this closure is here, and so like I said, because normally you would use a beige cap or so, but because this one is black, when you do pull her over, the bundles are going to be there, so it's going to camouflage that black very easily. But let's keep going. But yeah, you can use all of the hair as needed, or you can kind of try and save it to, like I said, make sure that the client doesn't want it, and then you can save it for another project. You want to get as close to that edge as possible and come all the way around. And when we start on this next section, guys, we are going to add from where we left off. Even though this one does not meet around the other side, I'm still going to take her back to Jenny just to make sure that we got, you know, a full seam. Cutting off any excess threads. Because it's black, we can see them easier. So we always want to make sure that we get those out of the way. So it stopped here. When I say we're going to pick it back up, we're going to start here and go all the way to the top on our next piece of section of hair that we use. And just to kind of show you this side here, because the elastic stretches, even though I started over here, there, you know, close to this, it looks like it pulled away, but that's okay because when I start again, I'll make sure that I cover this little black area. When the hair is black, and I'm glad I'm showing you in this form because the hair is blonde, so there's a contrast, but you can always still cover that. And it looks like some hair got in the middle of my stitching. So what I can do, this is a back threading, I can undo that because that's hair that's in there. And that's kind of a reason why you would have your seam ripper to kind of rip the seam so that those hairs can be free because the hair was going up. But yeah, now that the hair is free, it'll lay that way instead of being kind of stitched in there. But like I said, I can take my thread and actually connect it, not my thread, I'm sorry, my track, and connect it actually to this so that you won't have that gap in there. So we'll keep going and you'll see what I mean when we get to the end. I like doing these lives because what happens is real life, life be lifing for real. So real life happens. Everything isn't perfect. Everything, you know, there's always more than one way to do something. So you always want to make sure that you don't beat yourself up just because you don't get it right the first time, because somebody else could do it the same way. You come up with different ways to fix that error or, you know, troubleshoot yourself. So that would be a good troubleshooting moment that I could say, I didn't come all the way up that time. So maybe next time I'll make sure it touches whatever, you know. So a good teachable moment. You want to go through when you're unwinding. We're on our second bundle here. You want to make sure that you go through and make sure you pull the hair through as you're unwinding it. This is our Private Label 613 34-inch hair. And you can see that the tracks, as the hair gets longer, that's why you would need more. As the tracks get longer, they do get shorter on the length. And that's not just Private Label. Most hair companies do that. So you would know that as the tracks get longer, that's how that goes. So I'm going to start right at where I left off and keep going. So we take the hair off of Jenny and come back to that area. And even though we backstitched when we ended it, we're still going to backstitch when we start this one. So I'm going to take it right at that angle. And I try to match it up as close to as possible. I'm going to cut this thread here. And I'm going to stitch. And I'm going to backstitch. And just keep going. Again, making sure that I'm close to the previous track that I had in. And because, like I said, on that last one, my troubleshooting, I'm going to make sure that I touch the material of the closure when I stop. And backstitch. Lifting it up and removing our thread. For those that are making the wigs along with me, how are you guys coming? Are you finding that it's easy? Are you running into any issues? Are you coming to any bunching when you put it on the blockhead? How is that working for you? If you are running into where your cap is starting to gather or bunch up, what I want you to do is kind of stop making your wig and just practice stitching. And when I say practice stitching, you want to make sure that you are not pulling your material down or pushing it. Because when you push it, it will gather and it'll make some lumps. So you may not get, a little bit more practice before you just go right into making your unit. But if you feel comfortable, you can keep going. Just take your seam ripper, remove that track and do it again, but do it again this time without bunching your materials. And so, like I said here, this was the little troubleshooting area. We're gonna start and put it right there on top of that this time. And again, you always want to come back to your block and make sure that everything worked out. So that's where my connected and finished all the way over to the end. And so we're just going to keep going. We're almost done. And like I said, we have about this much more left of the second bundle, and we have 2 more tracks. So let's just keep going and we're going to get to the end. So once again, I'm going to touch it to make sure that she's not showing the cap, because that's not going to make for a great unit. Do a little back stitching, and I'm going to come right on top of it. I moved my cap, so I want to readjust. Anytime when you're looking in the eye of the machine and you see that you're not on top of your materials, stop, pause, and readjust so you can make sure your workstation is where it needs to be. So your workstation would be what you're working on, and you always want to make sure that you're paying attention. And so when I say you're not pushing or pulling, you're just here to kind of guide it. My hands are not putting any pressure. The machine has little grooves that allows the machine to feed this material through it. My hands are not pushing it or pulling it. So if you push it, it's like you're kind of pushing this and you're like, pulling it with it. Or if you're pulling it or gathering it, that's what causes it to kind of bunch up. Sometimes if you are doing too much, I would say. You don't have to go fast. This is at your pace. If you go fast, great. If you don't go fast, also great. Because at the end of this is going to be your work, and you want to make sure that you do a good job, which I know you guys are. Alrighty. So my little level came off, and I'm just going to put that back on real quick. And so we came to the end and we're going to cut that thread off. We're going to take her back to Jenny. And also, just to kind of give you a quick hint, it does get harder or tighter to put her on as you get closer to the top, but you still want to make sure you do this. That's just because it's on the mannequin head. When you're putting it on yourself, it's not like that. It's going to be snug and a lot easier for you. But the reason that you're putting it on the head is to make sure that you're going to have an accurate fit. So just to show you guys again here, there's no lumps, no bumps, and we're almost at the top where we're pretty much done. And it's starting to get a little heavy, which is great because we want a full unit. And like I said, as you get to this top, she's going to cover the black areas of the cap. And especially if they go in and the colorist goes in and colors her roots, she's going to be fine. I may go ahead and try this one on for you guys at the end. Maybe you'll get that treat as well. We'll see. It's easier too when you don't have a lot of hair to put these on, but you can definitely have your stylist to braid your hair down, or you can put a wig cap on to give you as close to a ball look as possible. But so we're here. We're right at that occipital bone where the head begins to curve. So you can see it from the profile here. Is starting to curve up. So right in this area is usually where you start getting a little bit separated, where you're not going as close. So we're going to still try that method, because what we don't want is for a wig to be so tight that we can't put it on, because that's going to be pointless. We would have done all this work for nothing. So we're going to just keep going, and we're going to give it a little gap, but not too much, because ideally we don't want to show this black cap. So I can kind of look through, like kind of place it here, and it's not bad. So we're going to keep going. So I may give it just not as much gap as I normally do, but still a little gap so that it's not so bunchy. You also want to make sure you're coming all the way up on that side. And just kind of keep it going. All right. We're almost done with that bundle. We're going to take her back over here to Jenny. Like I said, it does get a little harder to pull it down, but it fits. Now we're right on, this is how much we have left. We're gonna keep going. Because this is all the same length, also, that's another tip. If the hair bundles are different lengths, I would not do this, but because they're all the same lengths, I'm going to use all the hair as I get it in. So I'm going to use this scrap hair here because it's not, and I call it scrap because it's not enough to go all the way around to the other side, but it is the same lengths as the other hairs. I'm going to keep going, and then on my next bundle, I'll just fill it where I need to so that I can use all of the hair without having a lot of little bitty pieces left over. Trying not to be wasteful. But you can really only do that, well, it depends. I was going to say you can really only do that when they're all the same bundle length, when your bundles are all the same length, or you can do that if you know you're going to put layers in the hair, so it's not going to matter. So for an example, if you had a 34, a 32, and a 30, and you were on your 34 and your next bundle was a 32, you could easily, and you were going to cut layers, you could easily just add that in. Now, real quick, you guys, here is an I made, but I'm going to fix it on camera, so I don't want to not show you guys that what could happen. Even though I say I use the stitching a zigzag method, and I said to pay attention to the eye of the needle, sometimes you can still have an error. You see, I can stick my finger through there. So what happened was it got off track. The stitching still happened, but it did not catch this part. So because I see it, I'm going to go ahead and fix it because I see it. Now, that's a good seamstress that is going to go ahead and fix that error. Some of you guys, or, you know, in my past, if I had a lot to pump out, I may go, oops, and keep it moving. They'll never know kind of thing. But if you know that you want this to be durable and you want the client to come back, it doesn't take much to go ahead and fix it. So I'm going to fix it. And then I back stitched it, so it's going to be even better. So because I did that, I don't have to put it back on the block because we already did that. And I wasn't doing any gatherings or anything like that. I'm just going to cut this thread off, and then I'll go ahead and continue to start. But I'm glad that happened so I can show you some things that do happen in the real world. So cut off all your threading. And just go ahead and proceed as you were. Back stitch and keep going. Just make sure you pay attention to that center so you can make sure that you are going through both pieces of material. Again, the material is the cap, it's a mesh, and then the hair is also a material of what I'm referencing. It does get kind of tricky because when you're making the curve and you're turning, that's when sometimes it can kind of get off of its zigzag pattern because you're curving. I'm starting with the new bundle. And we're going to go ahead and unwound it. Again, my handle is Crimson Beauty Salon. You can find me on Instagram, and that's at Crimson Beauty Salon. You can also find me on TikTok at Crimson Beauty Salon. If you're wanting to follow me to see what other styles I do and what other wigs I make, definitely follow me. I don't just make wigs. I am a licensed master cosmetologist as well as a trichologist, which is the study of hair loss. So if you are having some hair loss issues, definitely check me out. Okay, so I know I have told you guys, and that was for the beginners, to if you're doing a scrap piece of hair that doesn't reach to the other side, to make sure you put it on the block and things like that. But if you are advanced, you can go ahead, and only if you're advanced, do not try this at home if you are struggling. If your needle is in, let your level up. You've backstitched, so it's behind where you're going to start. You want to put it under the level, come up. I'm sorry. Drop your level back down, drop your needle back down, and then you can start to stitch as well. Sure that you are actually, what you can do is put that level right into the material, close it, and that way you know you're going to start in your materials so it doesn't move and you can keep going so it's seamless. But if you feel like trying it, you can definitely try it, especially if you're practicing. And that's how you get better, by practicing. You're going to make sure everything is flat and come back up. I did not backstitch there. I did forget. So I'm going to go back before I even take it off. I'm going to cut this off. And even though I know it's not going to come off, for teaching purposes, I want to make sure that even though I did not backstitch, I want to show you guys what I mean by you want to make sure you backstitch. So if you can see here, because I didn't backstitch, it has a little bit of lip where it's up. So I'm just going to go in and tack that right down while I'm here, and then we'll come back over on the machine, on the block, and make sure that it's not lumping. But that's one of the things that you can kind of run into if you have not done that before. So trying to do it on camera is always different, especially if there's no edits and you're live. You just got to keep going. Because obviously, if it was on something pre-recorded, we will edit that out and, show you the perfect parts. So that's the advantage of watching us live. You want to cut those threads off. We already cut off our bundle. We got our fan going. She's blowing the hair and me, so it's a win-win. The studio lights are hot, and then sometimes, y'all, just keeping it real, I have my moments. It gets hot. I'm just going in, cutting any loose threads that I see, because it makes it easier when you see them now than having to go back at the end and cutting out all those loose threads. But we're going to put her on the block. Come on, Jenny. Give us your little head. And then we pull her down. And we're almost done, you guys. So you can see, this is what we have left, and we are going to keep going. This is where we picked up from the scrap hair and kept moving. Showing you guys again from the front. She's closing in, so you can kind of see the black through there, but once we get all this hair in, it won't be as noticeable, and we are making it work. But like I said, ideally, you would want to use a cap that's going to be the same color of the hair that you're using. But if we color these roots, it won't matter at all. So picking up our hair and keep going. So we can kind of gauge. We're definitely gonna get these bundles in, but we, like I said, we don't want to have too much of the black showing because it is blonde and we don't know for sure if they're gonna color the roots. Now they may tone it and that could work too, but we still want to make sure that we do a good job with the install. Back stitch. And I'm giving it just a little bit of a spacing, just a little bit. Check out Private Label's hair. There's several locations here in the Atlanta area. If you are here, then check the website. We're in Detroit, in the Carolinas. Check them out. This hair is very soft, very little to no shedding. It's only shedding when I cut, and so that's not really shedding, that's from where I cut it. So definitely really good hair, because nobody wants to walk around and the hair is following them wherever they were. So one thing you can do as you're making units is you can do a sealant. But if you do a sealant, make sure you do it like the day before or a few hours before, because you don't want the adhesive to get into your needle or anything. So you want to make sure it's completely dry. But that is an option if you want to, you know, do like a little sealant. I've worked with other hair companies before and they actually do shed. And we went back to the manufacturer and it was like, oh, did you use a sealant? I was like, no, I haven't had to use that with other companies. So it just depends on what hair company you're using. So Private Label is a good hair company to try if you're wanting to start out with practicing your units and things like that. I see a piece of thread. And when I'm holding it up, y'all, I'm just checking for the threads and things. Oh, it's easier to see the inside now that we have this contrast. So you can kind of see how these are closer together and how I kind of start to stretch or give it a little space in between. Can y'all see that? So you can see the zigzag threading. So that's what it looks like underneath. So we're gonna take her back to Jenny. And Jenny's probably tired of me yanking on her head. Like I said, we're at the top, so this is what's left, and we have another bundle, but we do have more hair, and we're just gonna keep going. And hopefully we don't need the last bundle, but we probably will need just a little bit of it. Because we're closing in. Sometimes what I like to do is double check to make sure, but I think I'm ahead of myself trying to do it now, but I'm gonna try it anyway. Just because I can. So sometimes this is what I use my push pins for, guys. I'll take my push pins and see if I'm gonna have a issue, if I'm gonna run out of hair and things like that. So yeah, I won't run out of hair because I have a whole nother bundle left. But if you can see, as I get this in, I'm gonna have like this much more. So we won't quite use the whole fourth bundle, but we will get a good bit of it in. I like to do that just to kind of know where I am and how much more. And I'm nosy. I don't like to just wait. I'm like, oh, when am I going to be done with this? But when I'm not teaching a class or showing you guys my tips and tricks, it typically only takes me about a good, especially a two bundle and a closure. It takes me a good 30-45 minutes to make a full unit. But because I'm stopping, I'm showing, talking at the same time, it definitely takes a little bit longer than normal. But we are almost done. We got about 3 more tracks of this particular bundle that we just kind of counted off. So this is 1. And we're going to just keep counting it off. And that was the back stitch. So now that we finished with that third one, we have 2 more roughly left of this track. We're going to take her back over to Jenny after we cut the thread. If we left this thread in here, you would just start seeing like little black strings throughout, and it's more obvious with the contrast of the color of the hair. So you want to make sure you get rid of those so you don't have to wait and do that all at the end. You'll be here kind of forever just trying to cut thread. Same timing, but I don't know about you guys, but for me, my gratification comes when I do that last stitch and I'm like, yay, I'm done. And then I have to go back and cut thread. It's like, I'm not done. So coming back to the block. We have just this little bit more to go. We're going to keep going. This is number 2. And then after this one, we have 1 more track of this hair, if my measurements are correct. Any questions so far? So good. Are you done? You can start with just 2 bundles. You don't need 4, depending on the length of hair you used will determine how many bundles you need. Depending on the fullness that you're trying to go for will also depend on how many bundles you need. If you're just trying to do one of those cute little bobs, you can get away with doing 1.5, honestly. Because you can make them almost 2 inches apart. But that's if you're just trying to do something super fast to try to, you know, get a quick little style. and back stitching. So after this one, we should have like one more bundle to go of this hair, and then we have our last bundle. Again, I'm just looking for my threads so I can get rid of those. When you're cutting your threads, you want to be careful to make sure you're not cutting your cap or your lace. I'm going to try to keep her as smooth out as possible because she can get all mangled up. I'm going to take her back over here to Jenny. Jenny from the block is what I call her. And she is almost done. You see? And as I stated, we are right here. So that little trick that I do to just see how much more I have, it really worked out. So I had 3 more. So this is the last bundle, the last track of this 3rd bundle. And so you can see that we will finish it, but we won't use that full bundle of the 4th bundle. But so far, this is definitely 3 full bundles in here, or going to be in here. So I'm so excited, you guys, that this is almost done, and I feel like we are doing a great job at camouflaging the fact that we're using a black cap with black thread with blonde hair. Now, that's a sight to see. This is a stay tuned to see how it comes out. Stay tuned. Or if you don't stay tuned, come back and check us out. Fast forward us if you need to. It's okay. Because we are going to put these videos on YouTube. So if you are at work and you're trying to catch us and you want to go back and try it later, come back and watch the show as we finish. And fast forward to your favorite part. I like fast forwarding to the end because I'm like, okay, I've seen it. I got it. Let's get to the bottom part. So this use, I'm going to let that be a scrap, because I'm not going to try to play with it and stick it on, and it's just so little. I mean, if you choose to do that, you can. I'm just not. Or I can, just to show you guys that you can keep going without having anything left over but your last. I'll use it. I'll use it for you guys. And like I said, the mannequin head is definitely different from your head, but it is definitely a good eye to make sure that you don't have anything lumping, bunching, or pushing up against it. But you can see that, yeah, you can kind of see the black, but once this is all down and curled, it's going to be fine. You're not going to see all of that. So we have the 1 bundle left. I wasn't going to use it, but something in my head said, they want to see it. You said no wasteful hair. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick it here. I'm going to stitch it down and I'm going to come back and use the rest of the bundles. So we'll start and you'll see, but I'm not going to come back to the block because I already see that it's nice and neat and I don't have any lumps or bumps. And so come on, let's keep going. If you've made it this far, why not? I owe it to you. So we'll keep going to not be wasteful with our hair. And I just heard the machine and I know that my thread has come out. So I must have pulled it. So let's pause. Let's come back and rethread our machine. All right, we got the machine threaded. We're going to go in and we're going to use that last little bit of hair from that third bundle. We're going to come right up here on the edge and tack her down, back stitching, and keep going. And back stitching. I'm going to lift it up a little bit. I'm going to open this last bundle. If you guys have made it this far, pat yourselves on the back. You are doing amazing. Thank you so much for watching and coming along this journey with me. If this is your first video, welcome. I hope you have learned something. I hope I have taught you something that you can take back with you and make your first unit. That's going to be exciting for you. So I love that for you. So we got it all undone. Like I said, we won't get to the end of this bundle because we just don't have enough space left. And I'm not going to stuff it in here because this is the top of the head and you do not want a bunch of hair at the top. So the thread is still threaded to the last bundle. I'm just coming over. Actually, I'm going to cut this piece off because it's a little piece of thread. Cut that off. Yes, I cut that. So I'm going to come over and I'm going to place it right on that, a little overlapping, but I'm going to come over and I'm going to put it right under my needle, stitch it down, and I'm going to back stitch. And then keep going. And when I say keep going, I'm going to go into my circular section and to complete the top of this cap off. And like I said, stick around to the end if you're wanting to see how this turns out, because this is one of the things that you may have to do if it's late at night, your client is saying, I'm going to send some hair to you. So I've gotten hair Ubered to me, not knowing, what I'm getting myself into. But let's say they send some hair to you. The stores are closed and all you have are black caps. Now, at home, I do have other colors, but let's just say you didn't. And you have only black. Well, it can be done. And we want to, stick around to the end to see what the end brings, that we were able to make it work. So I'm just going to cut the thread. The hair got caught in the machine, but it's okay. two things can happen from here. I can keep going in this circle pattern, or I can go straight across. I have seen it done both ways, and because I have not done it for you guys, I'm going to do it for you guys, where I'm going to show you how you can take this top part and just go straight across instead of continuing the circle. So I'm going to show you what I mean. Give me 1 second. Let me finish with the cutting of the thread. And here we go. So we're almost done, you guys. We have just this space left. So I can keep going around and around like that, or I can take this and go straight across like this. And that can also kind of help to have it flat in the top so that it won't have any bunching. So we'll do that just so you can kind of see a different way to do it. If you've been watching me, you have not seen me do that technique yet. It's just another way. There's no right or wrong way to do this install. And I say it as an install because we're making a wig, but think of it as if you're sewing it in on a client. And so you could go straight across, and I just want to show you guys a different technique. So these stitches will go a little faster because you're not going all the way around, but you can see here that we're just going to go straight across. So it'll go a little bit faster. And yes, we are still going to kind of keep going to the blockhead to make sure that it's laying flat. But it's quicker a little bit. And I pulled my time, so let me actually, well, I've already made it come off, so oh well. I was gonna say actually I could thread it with it on there, but I had already lost my foot. So we're gonna put that back on here real quick and keep going for you guys, because we're coming to the end. I feel like we have gotten some good coverage as to how to get this done, but the whole idea of these videos is to kind of show you that there's more than one way to do something. So I don't want to keep you bored with the same way to doing one thing. This way, pat yourself on the back for coming all the way to the end, because you just learned, or you're learning a new way or a different way that you can actually complete this look. So I got my got it threaded. I'm coming around this U shape, and I'm just going to go straight across. If I had my chalk, I think I have it, but I don't have it out, I could line it up and show you guys what I mean by that. But you're just going to come under your foot here, and you're just going to go straight across. And like I said, it's shorter pieces, but you'll see. You're still going to back stitch. You're just going to put it right here and stop. Once we make sure that our thread is still in there, put my foot back on. Cut any loose threads. And you can see we're just making a complete square in here. So we're going to keep going and just keep going straight across. Our guide, and we can kind of follow along with that and just keep going till we get to the top. That's it. And see how it kind of goes a little faster because you're not taking it all the way around, but you want to make sure you cut those threads. Sometimes, or what happens a lot is the hair gets caught in the foot of your machine. But when that happens, just pop it off and put it back on. And make sure you don't cut the hair. I can turn it up so I can see better. There you go. Also, like I said, cut your threads. Especially when you see them, because you don't want to get to the end and just still be cutting. All right. Almost done. Uh-oh. And so we're coming in, like I said, we're almost done. I'm still checking to make sure she's nice and flat and secure. And we're gonna keep going. As we get to this, I do tend to do a little curve, but just so I can make sure that it's a little seamless, but still going pretty much straight across. Just a little divot. Cutting of the thread. Checking our work. I knew that happened. Hold on. I'm losing my stand here. There we go. Sorry about that. So coming back over, checking our work. She's still laying nice and flat. We don't have much more to go, but we have plenty here. We're going to keep going until we get her closed up. So just in here is where I kind of start to make a little bit of a curve again, just to kind of wrap it around that finishing of the closure. Making sure you backstitch. Backstitch again. We probably got maybe two, a little less than three, maybe two, 2.5, not a full. So you can see we're closing all the way in here. I think that way that I did it made it better. It was a better option to keep from the black cap showing. So again, if you made it to the end, you can see that our black cap is only showing where we don't have any hair, but they're pretty close. And if, you know, you can get through there, you'll see that work. But like I said, if someone is doing like a shadow root, they can come in and get in there fairly easily, because we'll show you that at the end. I'll let you. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. You know how when you're almost done with something, you get too excited and you're like, oh, that looks good. So we won't do that just yet, but I do see the light at the end of the tunnel. So as I said, maybe two, like that's 1, 2, and maybe one little strip. So maybe we'll say 3 more times to go back to this machine. We'll say that. So we're almost done. So if you want to hang out a little bit longer with us, definitely feel free to do so. We got some other things, really exciting things that we're going to do once we're done. I promised you guys I was going to maybe put it on for you. And so I'm going to do that to show you what it looks like. It's going to be the stitching of adding a strap or a band, you guys call it, to it. We're going to add the band, and this is going to be a glueless unit. And on top of that, it's blonde on a black cap. Imagine that. I may get away with one more. No, it's going to be 2. And like I said, towards the top, round it just to meet or match the closure part of it. Cutting the loose thread. We practically got almost 4 bundles in here. That's crazy. But we are working with 34 inches of hair, so bada boom, bada bing. This is what we have left. These bundles are in here. So we got yep, maybe one, two little pieces left. Again, my name is Traci, owner of Crimson Beauty Salon. You can find me on Instagram at Crimson Beauty Salon and on TikTok at Crimson Beauty Salon. I am a Master Cosmetologist, certified trichologist, and certified wig maker. I can either help you make wigs, I can give you coachings, things like that. Just you let me know what you're looking for, and I will be more than happy to assist you. If you are looking for a good hair to use, a good hair company that you can even sell hair with, definitely check out Private Label. You can do your own brand and marketing, or Private Label will assist you with that. So for sure, keep in touch with us to grow your business, help grow your business. There's so much out there to keep you on point with that. But we are making wigs today, and this is something else you can add to your menu to do that. I'm just cutting out that little piece of thread. Like I said, usually whenever I see some thread, I'm like, let's cut that, get rid of that. Starting right here, back section. We're primarily going super close, so like I said, we don't see that black cap piercing through. We could use an option of a beige cap when we're doing a a blonde wig. But we just did not know today that we were going to be doing blonde hair. And you know what's funny is I looked at my beige thread today. More stuff to carry. And I did not get it. Always trust your gut. Isn't that what they say? So we have just one more piece to sew in, but again, we're still going to come over here, test her out, and you can see it's nice and flat. And this is all we have left. So we're going to come in and close her up, and we are done for the most part. We just have to add our band, and I'll show you guys how to do that. For this last piece, I'm going to make sure that she is kind of attached to the closure, the back of the closure. So I'm going to stick that right in there. And yeah, that's going to work. Back stitch. We're going to come all the way around. And just like that, we are done. Done, done, done. We're cutting off our thread, cutting off our last bundle. This is all we have left. So technically, this is 4 bundles that's in here because you could make a clip-in with this piece, but this is about all you're gonna get. You could cut it in half and do 2 clips on the side. But yeah, that's it, guys. We have not a lot of leftover hair. That little piece, I added it in here. Cutting off my throat. We are going to come back over to the mannequin, to the block. Jenny needs to get her final fitting. But we're taking off the thread. Anything you see that's out of order, take it off. See, we didn't have a whole lot because we did a lot of it throughout. And so, see, is that one? So this is the final product. This is what it looks like. I don't know if you guys can see that. And so we did some straight stitching right in here, but you can't really tell. And we're gonna put her on the mannequin head. You cannot see the black cap. We'll give her like a, and I'm just kind of finger combing right here. You can't see the black cap. And that's what it looks like. As promised, I'm gonna put her on. Never done before, live on camera. So, I don't know how you guys normally put it on, but what I like to do is put it on almost like a cap. I'm gonna take my glasses off so you can see. Just put it on like a cap. You're gonna put your forehead in here. And pull it back. And it's a mirror over here, so if you see me looking off, that's where I'm looking. So yeah, I would definitely put some roots on this one. But it's nice and flat, and this is what it looks like. So you can pull it over to the side or like that, but it's definitely nice and flat. You would take this obviously and cut this off. That's your ending of your closure right in there. And so what we're getting ready to do now, I'm going to take this off and we are going to add the elastic band. So making sure that I got all that hair off of me. We're going to add an elastic band. I'm going to open this up. And so the cool part about this is that it has an adjustable strap. So even though, let's see, you can take the strap and make it a little bit looser for you or tighter. So this is making it loose. And we're going to do that for you guys. And you don't, well, how you would adjust it is you can take this part on and off. But we're going to make it loose. And normally where I put my band is right in here. So from here to here, and then it will be good and snug and ready for use. So we're just going to take some thread and cut that off. And just do some simple stitching. We're going to take our curved needle. And this particular unit, I would recommend for someone with a smaller head, is who it would fit. If you have a lot of hair, this particular one may not work for you because it is really snug, given the fact that it has almost 4 bundles in there. So when you're putting those bundles in, it just makes it a little bit tighter than normal. So I'm gonna come, actually, normally I come here, but this particular cap, I'm sorry, not cap, this particular band is a little bit tight. But like I said, you can loosen it. I'm gonna come just below, and then I'm gonna just hand stitch this in. So I don't pierce all the way through to the hair part, but just on the band part of the cap. So just like that. And it's just some simple stitching. I go over and under. Making sure you're pulling that thread tight. I hope you guys can see. And for this purpose, it's almost like I said, it's glueless, so you won't have to like put any glue on there or anything like that. And I'm not going all the way through to the other side, just kind of going through that first layer of the edge of the cap. We're at the end, and so what I'm going to do is knot this a little bit, and I'm going to just wrap it around 1, 2, 3, and pull through. We're going to cut that off. We're going to knot it back up. Cut that little excess off. And we're going to take, so this is on now. And we're going to take this just over to the other side. Right around the same area. And do the same thing. So this is a bonus treat for you guys. I have not shown you guys this on camera, but I wanted to make sure you guys can get some different things, different tips and tricks that we're just not doing the same repetitive thing each time. So you'll never know what will happen on the next show. So keep watching us, and we'll keep showing you guys new things. All right, we're at the last stitch. We're gonna tie it in a knot. One, wrapping around one. Oh, it's not wanting to do it. Let's see. 1, 2, and 3, and pull through. Cut that off. And I know sometimes you guys, you know, put it down like that over the cap. But that's it. You can, this can go towards the back, and that gives you that extra security. But when you're just trying to secure it over the head, you know, that's how you would do it. All right, we got her on here, and that's it, you guys. If you have any questions, definitely, like I said, feel free to put those questions in the questions and comments in the comment section, and I'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you once I'm done here. And I can be reached on Crimson Beauty Salon on Instagram and Crimson Beauty Salon on TikTok. I have enjoyed our time together. Come back for our next class. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.